Here is Immortal Moments for explanation. Friends, like videos and subscribes to our channel. Swallowed Star 2 Land of Origin Part 16 Explanation. So let's start our explanation. At this moment, within the city owner's mansion, 5 divine power incarnations sat in a great hall, the leaders of the 5 great families. Moly Meng has already left Luo his cave mansion. Commander Moly Xiao sat there, his purple horn-shaped crown like a king's crown, his face somewhat aged, and his eyes calm. Luo he has just been the target of an assassination. He suspects that it was an assassin sent by us and has rejected the position of deputy commander of the Huyang Legion. We sent Moly Meng over to explain, already conceding face to Luo he, the lord of Huyang City, frowned slightly, offering him the position of vice commander of the Huyang Legion is the highest rank we can offer. Higher positions such as the city lord and commander are directly appointed by the royal capital. The rank they offered was equivalent to the 3rd highest within Huyang City, and higher. The 5 great families had no right to appoint such positions privately. It was their utmost sincerity. We gave him a chance to calm down, and he rejected it. A figure with white hair shook his head gently. We took the initiative to compromise, and yet he still refused. A figure cloaked in blood-colored scales said with a cold gaze, "Our 5 great families consist of 2 royal families and 3 primal chaos families. We suppressed the dissent within our families and took a step back first, but he was unwilling to accept our kindness. As the leader of the Wu clan branch that had come to Huyang, Brother Wu naturally bore arrogance. They were willing to step back only because Luo Feng was powerfully strong. All the leaders of the 5 great families knew that no matter how significant the background, respect for the opponent's strength was a must. We backed down, but this Luo he refuses to," said the leader of the Meiwu clan, his body adorned with leaves and branches, emanating a rich aura of life. He leisurely said, "We can recognize the big picture, but many eternal true gods among our 5 great families cannot swallow this affront." Everyone present understood this point. As the leaders of the family branches in Huyang City, they were quite competent. However, the many family members under them were quite ordinary. Years of indulgence had accustomed these family members to lofty statuses, and they found it even harder to tolerate the defiance of Lord Luo he. The leaders of the 5 great families also had to consider the emotions within their families. We gave him an opportunity, and he didn't want it. "Then let's spend some price and get rid of him," the figure in blood-colored scales spoke indifferently. "Even if we can't kill him, we must make him stay hidden forever, just like Shui Yun, never daring to show his face." Shui Yun, the leader of the Shi Kingdom's forces, had been hiding all along. If he were to expose himself, he would immediately be attacked by the 5 great families. Inside Huyang City, the 5 great families had the advantage of the terrain, and Shui Yun could only stay hidden. "Brother Wu, I've said it before, hire an outsider strong enough to eliminate him," the leader of the Meiwu family also said with a smile. "The lands of the Yu Kingdom are vast and brimming with strong individuals. Certainly some are stronger than Shui Yun, stronger than river god Luo he." "I do not agree with this matter," Commander Moly Xiao stated coldly. "Moly, you can endure this," the figure in the blood-colored scales scoffed. "You may endure it, but my Wu clan cannot." The Wu clan, being of a godly king lineage, naturally had extraordinary pride. Shui Yun is the leader of the Shi Kingdom's forces, our sworn enemy. But Luo he is merely a leisurely eternal true god. There really is no need to drive him into opposing us, Commander Moly Xiao calmly stated. "Even if we do invite an outsider strong enough, you all know very well that it's easy to defeat him, but hard to kill. If Luo he survives the assassination attempt, he will only harbor deeper hatred towards us. Having a formidable enemy in the shadows all the time is not something favorable. We don't care about the Shi Kingdom, we're afraid of a Luo he," the figure in the blood-colored scales snorted coldly. "Lord Suman, what do you think?" We stepped back. He disregarded it. "For the sake of stability within the 5 great families, I think it's time to take action," said the lord of Huyang City. Commander Moly Xiao shook his head slightly. The white-haired figure also said, "I think we should think it over. We too have decided, so this matter can be settled," the figure in blood-colored scales stated. "If the city lord and Brother Wu agree, then I agree too," the leader of the Meiwu family said with a smile. "There is no need to argue over this matter anymore." The lord of Huyang City was from the royal family's Tsuman clan. The figure in blood-colored scales, Wu Kulu, was the leader of another royal family, the Wu clan. The stature of these two royal families' branches in Huyang City was slightly higher than that of the three great primal chaos families, less tolerant of provocations. Then I'll begin preparing for this matter, the leader of the Meiwu family said, as he also purchased all the information on Lord Luohi from the Flame Wind Pavilion. Since they were going to make a move, naturally, they needed to thoroughly understand the opponent's background. Information, with time, changes. Therefore, they had to buy the most recent information. In the future when there's trouble, they'll only hide behind, Commander Mo Xiao said resignedly. With the two royal families making this decision, and the Meiwu family supporting it, he and the Jiang family were powerless to stop it. Something is strange, the leader of the Meiwu family expressed some doubt. The other four leaders looked at him. I tried to purchase the latest information on Lord Luohi from the Flame Wind Pavilion. His information actually costs a full 5,000 cosmic sands, the leader of the Meiwu family said somberly, looking at his four companions, just one piece of information, selling for so expensive. When he made a move on Qianyu Chong and Meiwu Qi, I bought his information. It only cost 100 cosmic sands at that time, the white-haired figure exclaimed in surprise. Not even a night has passed, and the price of his information has skyrocketed this much. My entire information also only costs 500 cosmic sands, Commander Mo Xiao said incredulously. Shuiyun's entire information, likewise, is 500 cosmic sands. But this Lord Luohi, it costs 5,000 cosmic sands. They were well aware that the Flame Wind Pavilion's pricing system was systematic, complete structure established by the Flame Wind ancient country, never arbitrary. Try buying it to see what's the situation, the Lord of Huyang City instructed. 5,000 cosmic sands, they did not care about the cost. What they cared about was just one piece of information selling for so high, making the leaders of the five great families a bit nervous. All right, the leader of the Meiwu family immediately purchased the information. Unable to believe what he saw, the leader of the Meiwu family said, the information from the Flame Wind Pavilion states that a very powerful eternal true god, Yin Kang, just tonight, died within Luohi's cave mansion. The customer's transaction information with the Flame Wind Pavilion would not be sold by the pavilion. But through the karmic messenger order, determining Yin Kang's death was a capability of the Flame Wind Pavilion itself. Any customer holding a karmic messenger order, upon death, the Flame Wind Pavilion could instantly confirm it and even pinpoint the location. Even without a karmic messenger order, unable to pinpoint the location, as long as there had been an interaction, a karmic connection would arise. The Flame Wind Pavilion could also judge whether the karma existed or not. If it existed, it meant they were alive. If it disappeared, it signified death. Yin Kang, he died inside Lord Luohi's cave mansion. Everyone present turned pale. Yin Kang's strength is beyond doubt. He possessed not just one mechanical flow secret treasure but also deduced several primal chaos realm moves on his own. And his ability to escape is even more formidable, Commander Mo Xiao said. He once killed a child of the primal chaos overlord in the Shi Kingdom, which enraged the primal chaos overlord greatly. Elite troops were sent to pursue and assassinate him. It is said he survived several assassination attempts and ultimately managed to flee into our Yu Kingdom. After all, since there was conflict between the Yu Kingdom and the Shi Kingdom, the elite troops of the primal chaos overlord were reluctant to brazenly continue the assassination within the Yu Kingdom. The primal chaos overlord had over 300 children and was already of the mind to toughen, screen, and eliminate them. The death of one didn't warrant a strong pursuit, which was also a reason Yin Kang managed to escape. If it had been one of those primal chaos overlords with only a few children, killing their child would likely have led to personal pursuit, even enlisting friends' help, that would truly leave nowhere to run. Even so, the fact that Yin Kang survived made his reputation soar. He could survive under the pursuit of the elite troops sent by the primal chaos overlord, yet he died inside Lord Luohi's cave mansion. The leaders of the five great families felt a chill in their hearts. Luo Feng leisurely sat in a pavilion at the peak of the mountain, drinking. Life wasn't just about cultivation. After the great battle, all Luo Feng wanted was to relax and reflect on himself. HM? Luo Feng looked towards the entrance of the cave mansion with curiosity. Mo Li Meng left not long ago, Why has he returned? It was still Molly Meng's flying boat. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. 3 figures flew down. Molly Meng was accompanied by an older man with a similar appearance but thinner and a 3-eyed man with a tail of purple gold scales. Commander Molly Xiao and the City Lord are here? Luo Feng was surprised. The commander and the City Lord were the 2 highest officials in Huyang City. Qingyang, go and open the door, Luo Feng instructed from afar. Yes. Mu Qingyang immediately went to open the main door, and upon seeing the 3 figures outside, he couldn't help but be startled. Commander Molly Xiao and the Lord of Huyang City. As the only current doorkeeper in the cave mansion, Mu Qingyang had already received information from his master and was familiar with all the eternal true gods in Huyang City. With such visitors, he at least could recognize them. The master asks you to come in, said Mu Qingyang, suppressing his nervousness. He, a mere true god, when had he ever interacted with a commander and a city lord? They don't come out to greet us in person but only send a servant to open the door. It seems there is still some dissatisfaction, the Lord of Huyang City communicated to his companions telepathically. If I had his strength, I would be even more dissatisfied. Commander Molly Xiao sent back through telepathy. The City Lord and the commander flew together towards the pavilion on the high mountain, with Molly Meng following behind. Inside the pavilion, Luo Feng sat there, drinking, with several wine jars by his side, clearly having consumed quite a bit. For both the City Lord and the commander to come together, you truly honor me, Luo Feng said with a smile that was not quite a smile as he looked at them. Please, have a seat. From beginning to end, Luo Feng remained seated. Thinking of how they condoned Mei Wuqi's massacre of millions of citizens, Luo Feng didn't feel like standing up. Lord Luo He, lamented the Lord of Huyang City, the matter with Mei Wuqi is indeed our fault. As the City Lord, while I have a say within the family, I still can't completely control those eternal true gods within my clan. Your intervention this time was a good thing. It can make them truly fear. The 5 great families should indeed thank Lord Luo He, said Commander Molly Xiao. We'll still say within the 5 great families that the Lord did well by acting. If such things are found in the future, you can continue to kill. We believe this will better deter the eternal true gods of the 5 great families. Luo Feng was surprised. The 5 great families had conceded? This is our 5 great families' way of making amends. The Lord of Huyang City proactively stepped forward with a jade vial. It contains some items to aid in cultivation. We hope it can resolve the enmity between the Lord and our 5 great families. Luo Feng, with a sweep of his divine power, was somewhat astonished. Within the jade vial was a pond-like pale white liquid, the so-called blood of Yi beast from within the Yu kingdom, well known for its reputation. Consuming it was like merging with the primal chaos, extremely beneficial for deciphering the law of primal chaos. Just this one vial, Luo Feng estimated, was worth about 1 million cosmic sand. Lord Luo He, we mean what we say. If the eternal true gods of the 5 great families in Huyang City commit such acts again, please feel free to punish them according to the laws of the Yu kingdom. We will only support the Lord, Commander Molly Xiao stated. You both have me somewhat confused, Luo Feng said. Before now, more than one person told me that the 5 great families would not let things go. Molly Meng beside him felt somewhat embarrassed. He was the one who had said that, very familiar with the 5 great families, that they would not let things go. Ultimately, this world respects power, said Commander Molly Xiao. Now, complete information on Lord Luo He costs as much as 5,000 cosmic sand at the Flame Wind Pavilion. We of the 5 great families naturally have to respect your strength. The moment they knew of his strength, the leaders of the 5 great families understood one thing. Within Huyang City, the city owner's mansion and the Shi Kingdom's forces represented 2 extremes. They clashed fiercely. Previously, there was one faction within Huyang City that was very transcendent. Neither the city owner's mansion nor the Shi Kingdom's forces dared to disturb it. That was the Flame Wind Pavilion. Now in Huyang City, standing apart from these 2 extremes, in addition to the Flame Wind Pavilion, was another, Lord Luo He. My complete intelligence report is being sold for 5,000 cosmic sand at the Flame Wind Pavilion. Luo Feng was very surprised. Moly Meng said, through causality determination by the Flame Wind Pavilion, it was confirmed that tonight, the supremely powerful eternal true God, Yin Kang, died within your cave mansion, Lord Luo He. The assassin tonight was called Yin Kang. Luo Feng muttered to himself in a low voice. He genuinely didn't recognize the name. After all, since he had entered the cycle and came to the land of origin, the only large city he had lived in was Huyang City. Luo Feng only purchased some basic intelligence about the vast endless world outside of Huyang City, so naturally, he didn't recognize Yin Kang. This is the intelligence on Yin Kang. Moly Meng sent a detailed intelligence report through the transmission token. Upon reading it, Luo Feng understood that Yin Kang was on par in strength with Moly Xiao and Shui Yun, but most importantly, his survival skills were extremely strong. He had managed to survive despite being hunted by an elite squad dispatched by the primal Chaos Overlord. To think that killing an assassin would cause the price of my intelligence to skyrocket, Luo Feng shook his head and sighed. If I'd known he was Yin Kang, I'd have taken the bounty on him from the Flame Wind Association's Dark Hall. What a pity to miss out on a fortune. Luo Feng generally only looked at the bounties within Huyang City. Bounties from other cities? There were countless. At the same time as Yin Kang's death, the Flame Wind Pavilion also revoked the bounty mission for Yin Kang, with the original reward being deducted by 10% and the rest returned. It's merely some bounty, insignificant for Lord Luo He, said Commander Moly Xiao. The Lord of Huyang City also said, as a frontier metropolis, Huyang City is the front line of conflict with the Shi Kingdom's forces. Commander Moly Xiao and I are also under great pressure, and we need to focus on dealing with the forces of the Shi Kingdom. If Lord Luo He is willing to help, he could easily earn a large sum of bounty. The three of you may leave now, Luo Feng said, not wishing to speak with them any longer. We won't disturb you any further. The Lord of Huyang City, Moly Xiao, and Moly Meng all stood up. Soon, the three of them took their leave. As the gate of the cave mansion closed, Mo Yu Qingyang watched with a trembling heart. The Lord of Huyang City and the commander came together, and the master didn't even go out to greet them. When they left, the master didn't see them off either, and not even the Lord of Huyang City seemed upset over this. In their interactions, the master was clearly more dominant. Mo Yu Qingyang also grew excited internally. What great fortune have I, Mo Yu Qingyang, stumbled upon that I may have the chance to take the master as my mentor. I must work hard and first comprehend the 10 fundamental laws. The unfathomable strength of the master made Mo Yu Qingyang all the more determined. The 5 great families and the forces of Shi Kingdom, as long as they don't act foolishly, won't provoke me, Luo Feng thought. I can take this opportunity to focus on my cultivation for a while. Luo Feng took a few steps and entered the underground hall. Inside the underground hall, he released the Star Tower. Currently, Morosa was in one of the tower's levels, digesting food, while Luo Feng went to another level. With a wave of his hand, the many spoils of war appeared in front of Luo Feng. This harvest is not considered significant, Luo Feng glanced at it. Qian Yu Chong, no matter that he was a leader of Huyang Guard, the treasures he left behind were worth only about 200,000 cosmic sand in total. Mei Wu Qi left behind treasures worth about 300,000 cosmic sand upon his death. Neither of them was particularly wealthy. Luo Feng shook his head. This was to be expected, as these members of the great families, these ordinary eternal true gods, despite their noble status, had big expenses. And how much could they save from the cosmic sand allocated to them by their families? In terms of individual wealth, they were not as rich as the Blood Python Association leader. Yin Kang was the wealthy one. Luo Feng looked at the other large quantity of spoils of war. The most valuable items Yin Kang had on him were 2 solo-type mechanical stream secret treasures. The other possessions he carried with him were average in value. All of his left treasures were worth about 3.5 million cosmic sand. Compared to his status, it's still a little less. He probably invested his accumulated wealth into his own cultivation, Luo Feng understood. Bloodline cultivation consumed a vast amount of resources. An enormous amount of resources are poured in hoping for the bloodline to evolve to become more powerful, and it is an abyss with no end. Many powerful beings invest tremendous resources and yet cannot become a primal chaos overlord. The 2 mechanical flow secret treasures, one is the Sword of the World's Core, possessing only 1 move, condensing primal chaos divine power, valued at about 1.5 million cosmic sand. The other is the Myriad Realms Escape Command. It was with this that Yin Kang could move instantaneously within Huyang City, and even under the suppression of my control primal chaos, this treasure still allowed him to outpace me. Wielding the Sha Wu wings and using control primal chaos, Luo Feng's power was terrifying. The Blood Python Association leader was so suppressed he couldn't even put up a fight. Yin Kang resisted such suppression and still managed to outpace Luo Feng. This was not something that could be achieved solely by one's realm, but rather with a powerful escape-class mechanical flow treasure. Mechanical stream secret treasures are quite helpful to me now. But in the future, the help will become less and less significant. Luo Feng understood this point. A perfect divine body refined for the second time, even if it is lower in realm and simple in techniques, can already rival the power of mechanical stream secret treasures. Purple Jade Gen was also effortlessly pierced through with a single strike in front of Luo Feng. As my realm advances, the power wielded by my perfect divine body will become stronger. If I refine it a third time, there will be a substantial improvement. Mechanical flow secret treasures will become even less significant to me, Luo Feng reasoned. The perfect divine body and willpower are his true reliance. Luo Feng closed his eyes and began to focus on sensing the primal chaos laws from the primal chaos ruins nearby, tangible as if real, immersing himself in cultivation. Within Huyang City, the various powers all assumed that the five great families would not let things rest and were keen to see the upcoming conflict between the five great families and Lord Luo He. But the result was, the five great families backed down. At first, everyone believed that the five great families were secretly hiring experts, which might take some time to arrive at Huyang City. But as time passed, everyone began to understand the situation clearly. As for the news of Yin Kang being killed by Lord Luo He, after all, its intelligence worth 5,000 cosmic sand. Very few forces who had purchased the information would be willing to let it leak out. Why should other families easily obtain the intelligence that one's own family had paid a great price to acquire? As time elapsed, those within Huyang City who knew of the news that Lord Luo He killed Yin Kang remained only the few top forces within the city, and these forces naturally grew increasingly wary of Luo Feng. ********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************* 2 decades. Huyang City, within a dark and gloomy hall. The figure in a white robe wearing a red mask stood there, looking at the speck of blood-red flame in midair, the flame emitting an aura of disaster and darkness. Marquis, the white-robed figure greeted respectfully. Shuiyun, you've been in Huyang City for quite some time now, the voice came from the blood-red flame, yet to this day, you've not accomplished the task I gave you. Divine Monarch Shuiyun replied with utmost respect, Marquis, I dare not slack off, and I've tried every possible method to track down the complete formation diagram of Huyang City. But the Huyang City formation has been so extensively modified and supplemented over generations that it has become incredibly complex. The array masters who personally repaired it only know a small area of the formation they were responsible for. It's impossible to understand the entire grand formation. I only want results, the blood-red flame replied coldly. I will give you one last era to obtain the complete formation map of Huyang City. I will send 2 experts to assist you. If you are still unable to do so within an era, you may as well come back. I will make other arrangements for the matter of Huyang City. Divine Monarch Shuiyun was taken aback. If he could not succeed within an era, would the affairs of Huyang City no longer be his responsibility? As the leader of the Shi Kingdom's forces within Huyang City, although it was quite dangerous, the Shi Kingdom would continuously provide him with resources. Many of these resources ended up in Divine Monarch Shuiyun's own hands. Divine Monarch Shuiyun, with a desire to become a primal chaos overlord, naturally needed a vast amount of resources. If he were to be recalled, coupled with the failure of the mission, the resources he would receive in the future would be greatly reduced. Marquis, within an era, I will spare no effort to seize the complete formation diagram of Huyang City, Divine Monarch Shuiyun said respectfully. I've arranged your assistance, and you haven't been shorted of resources. I hope that this time, you won't disappoint me again. The blood-red flame's voice was ice-cold, and it gradually extinguished. Only then did the exceedingly respectful divine monarch Shuiyun relax. Even as powerful as he was, he dared not show the slightest disrespect before the Marquis, an ancient primal chaos overlord who has journeyed through the long years. After all, even the most powerful eternal true gods would be effortlessly crushed by the Marquis. The Marquis is losing patience, divine monarch Shuiyun pondered. Is so urgent, it seems the Marquis must have some significant action planned. I wonder how strong the two assistants sent by the Marquis will be. Divine monarch Shuiyun was patient, planning to wait for the arrival of the two formidable assistants before deciding on the plan to capture the formation diagram of Huyang City within an era. Even if I cannot get the complete formation diagram of Huyang City, I must earn sufficient merit points. Otherwise, the Marquis will not spare me. Having taken a large amount of resources, naturally, corresponding merits were expected. Snowflakes were swirling down, the world blanketed in white. The snow of Huyang City was extremely cold, each snowflake like a glittering gem. Luo Feng sat on the peak of his cave mansion, stretching out his hand to catch the falling snowflakes, each snowflake's structure extremely intricate, like a formation diagram. Comprehending the laws is also getting slower, Luo Feng thought. I've been in the land of origin for 27 eras already. I made rapid progress in the early stage, but now my advancement is slowing down. This was normal, as his realm could be considered at the pinnacle level of an eternal true god. To thoroughly integrate a multitude of scattered insights and to comprehend the complete primal chaos laws was certainly not an easy task. Luo Feng looked down the mountain, seeing his servant Muyu Qingyang also deep in contemplation. Is comprehending the laws so difficult for you? You still haven't grasped the 10 fundamental laws, Morosa said while gnawing on meat, shaking his head. Muyu Qingyang couldn't help saying, Lord Luo-sa, it took me just over 2 decades to grasp 8 of the basic laws, which is already quite fast. My father even says that my comprehension speed is very quick. Too slow. With my teaching, not having comprehended the 10 fundamental laws by now means you're dull, Morosa said disdainfully. Comprehending the laws is a very simple matter. You need to understand that these laws don't exist in isolation, they are interconnected. It's due to the combination of different laws that all things operate, Morosa explained. I've said it before, you need to consider their interconnections to think about their essence. I don't understand, Muyu Qingyang shook his head. Alas, both the eldest and third of the Muyu family have become true gods of void space, only leaving you as the lone true god. Put some effort into it, your weakness is embarrassing, even to me. Morosa shook his head. Both your master and I progressed much faster when we were cultivating. Muyu Qingyang kept quiet, as he still wanted Morosa's guidance and dared not talk back, and he had to think of ways to appease him. Whoosh! Luo Feng landed beside them. Master, Morosa, and Muyu Qingyang immediately stood up. Come with me on a trip, Luo Feng instructed. The Fire Realm restaurant was bustling under the flurry of snow, with many guests present. Inside the kitchen pavilion, Suozi was focused on cooking. Over 2 decades had passed, and he had already become one of the main chefs at the Fire Realm restaurant. After all, the owner, Black Butcher, rarely cooked, leaving the main chefs and many disciples to handle the cooking. Okay, serve it all now. Suozi finished preparing a Fire Realm feast. Yes, an attendant who was waiting nearby immediately delivered the renowned Fire Realm feast to the guests. Suozi then relaxed. As a main chef, he needed to prepare some important dishes himself, while ordinary dishes could be delegated to his junior brothers and sisters. Having become a head chef, I've earned quite a few more primal chaos crystals. After a few more decades, I'll be able to purchase enough resources to try for a breakthrough, he thought every time he counted his increasing savings, filled with anticipation for the future. Brother Suozi, your brother has come. He's calling you over, a voice came from outside the kitchen pavilion. Okay. Suozi walked outside, where being a head chef meant he wasn't too busy. Familiarly, Suozi walked into a hall, where dozens of guests were seated apart from each other, with Suoyun sitting in the primary seat. Suozi, Suoyun called out. Suozi walked over. Today I'm hosting a feast for many brothers in the tower, Suoyun laughed heartily. You must cook personally. Your skills are much loved by our 1,000 Mountain Tower brothers. The skills of the Tower Master's brother, we are all well aware, someone commented. It's tough on brother Suo-Z, the numerous guests around laughed. Almost all those invited by Suo-Yun were from the void true gods of Thousand Mountain Tower. Suo-Z smiled amicably, familiar with handling guests over the long years. I'll make sure everyone is satisfied. I'll go cook now. Go ahead with your work, and come join us for a drink afterward, Suo-Yun instructed. Okay. Suo-Z then left the hall. Tower Master Suo-Yun, why don't you bring your brother to join us at Thousand Mountain Tower? Lord Chiu, you don't know, my brother wants to stay with his master and learn the art of cooking. He really doesn't want to come to Thousand Mountain Tower. Suo-Yun was one of the 39 Tower Masters of Thousand Mountain Tower, which clearly spoke of his high status as he chatted and dined with the members. Suo-Z returned to the kitchen pavilion and received a detailed menu via a transmission token. Some simple dishes were delegated to his junior brothers and sisters, but many main dishes required his personal attention. Arriving in Huyang City over 2 decades ago, Suo-Yun has completely changed. Suo-Z had grown up with Suo-Yun in the tribe, and he could sense the changes in Suo-Yun within Huyang City. Now, I find it hard to tell whether his words are true or false. He frequents the Fire Realm restaurant not because of me but to chance upon Lord Luo-He. Suo-Z knew this very well. He was recruited by the dark forces of Thousand Mountain Tower and promoted to Tower Master because of Lord Luo-He. Over the past 2 decades, Suo-Z had seen numerous guests come and go, sensing the intangible influence of Lord Luo-He. Because of Lord Luo-He, many eternal true gods were willing to come to the Fire Realm restaurant. Because of Lord Luo-He, the Fire Realm restaurant had expanded its premises several times over, greatly improving business. Because of Lord Luo-He, Suo-Z himself had received vigorous cultivation from the owner. Lord Luo-He has arrived. Suddenly, the attendants at the Fire Realm restaurant all perked up, passing the message around. Lord Luo-He has arrived? Suo-Z also looked outside the pavilion, instantly spotting the figures of Luo Feng, Morosa, and Mo Yu Qingyang approaching in the distance, with the owner, Black Butcher, already moving forward to greet them. Supreme, the Black Butcher was extremely enthusiastic and respectful. He too had struggled to get to the land of origin by passing through cycles of reincarnation, and his days had improved significantly only because Luo Feng enjoyed visiting the Fire Realm restaurant. It was during these past 2 decades that he was able to quickly accumulate resources. He did not mind being humble. What he feared was the absence of hope. Previously, while operating the restaurant for many long years and being oppressed by dark forces, he hardly made much profit, sometimes even operating at a loss. These past 2 decades of good days had amassed more wealth than he had accumulated in all the preceding years combined, naturally enabling him to buy resources to aid his cultivation. Black Butcher, your Fire Realm feast is getting better and better. If I don't come for a while, I start craving it, Luo Feng said with a smile. It's my honor that the Supreme enjoys it. I will get to the kitchen now and strive to do even better. The Black Butcher grinned broadly, his smile genuine. Supreme Shong and the others are at the old place. Luo Feng nodded and flew towards the familiar hidden pavilion. During the flight, when some of the Fire Realm restaurant attendants and many guests saw Luo Feng, they showed great respect, including the overly respectful Suo-Yun. This is Suo-Yun, joining the Dark Forces. His and Suo-Z's paths are completely different, Luo Feng noted all the faces effortlessly. For Suo-Z and Suo-Yun, Luo Feng was still quite concerned. After all, they were among the first creatures he saved upon his arrival in the land of origin and had also arrived in Huyang City at the same time as him. Luo Feng was quite interested in their future development. However, joining the Dark Forces was something Luo Feng did not quite appreciate. Sai? Luo Feng approached the secluded small building. Brother Luo-He, Shong Qianyang and another eternal true god, Sang Shueyun, were already at the door to meet him. Mo Yu Qingyang was standing guard outside the little building. Meanwhile, Morosa relaxed and walked to a small building nearby, instructing the Black Butcher, arrange some food and drink, you know my taste. Don't worry, I understand, responded the Black Butcher, who immediately set things up. After spending so much time together, he could sense that the servant Luosa had an unusual relationship with Lord Luo-He. Right after, the Black Butcher, filled with fighting spirit, began to adjust his mindset, dedicating himself fully to preparing a Fire Realm feast. After all, Lord Luohe was his most important guest, and he had to be well attended to. From a distance, Suo Yun watched Luo Feng enter the building and narrowed his eyes in thought. Lord Suo Yun, is that Lord Luohe? Lord Chiu looked from afar, his eyes filled with envy and reverence. As a core member of the Dark Force's Thousand Mountain Tower, Lord Chiu was well aware. Lord Luohe was a top-tier figure in Huyang City, even the 5 great families had to restrain themselves in front of him. Yes, it was Lord Luohe who saved my life. If it weren't for the divinity, my brother and I would have died long ago, Suo Yun exclaimed. Inside the secluded building, Luo Feng, Shang Qianyang, and Sang Shuiyun sat down. Shang Qianyang chuckled, Brother Luohe, when you called for me, I just happened to be at this Fire Realm restaurant with Sang Shuiyun. You two really have a close relationship, always coming and going together, Luo Feng teased. In the entire Huyang City, there were only 2 eternal true gods infatuated with the Dream Flower Tower Master, precisely Shang Qianyang and Sang Shuiyun. Though they were considered rivals in love, they actually got along quite well. Initially, Brother Shang and I were both loners in Huyang City, free from any attachments. That's when we got acquainted, Sang Shuiyun shook his head. And now, I am still carefree without any ties, but look at him, establishing the Heavenly Flame sect, tirelessly mentoring a whole bunch of disciples, acquiring a bunch of burdens, making him strain himself as well. Sang Shuiyun had wings and always carried an air of decadence, as well as a somewhat reclusive nature. I have spent countless heart force on artifact refining, I have to pass it on, Shang Qianyang remarked. Why do you absolutely have to pass on your skills? In the whole land of origin, there are many artifact refining masters stronger than you. The loss of your artifact refining skills would just be a trivial matter, Sang Shuiyun said. Don't overestimate yourself, we are just insignificant little waves in the land of origin. Even a little wave has its moment to ripple. With your decadence, you can't even count as a wave, just dust, Shang Qianyang replied. I am dust, and you are a wave, Sang Shuiyun shook his head. Actually, even if you want to pass on your skills, taking a few disciples would have been enough. Establishing a sect and having all those sect concerns mean you can never truly be free. Luckily, you met Lord Luohe and for the past 2 decades or so, you've been relatively at liberty. Ha, I should thank Brother Luohe, Shang Qianyang looked at Luo Feng. In the past, there were many things I couldn't extricate myself from, having to consider the whole sect. Now, the various powers hardly dare to go too far. Luo Feng said, Brother Shang, if you didn't care about the sect, didn't care about the disciples, you could be as carefree as Sang Shuiyun. Sang Shuiyun nodded, he's just foolish. If you can't speak nicely, then keep quiet. I need to discuss important matters with Brother Luohe now. You might as well leave, Shang Qianyang urged. I'm off, Sang Shuiyun said simply, standing up and leisurely leaving. Luo Feng watched Sang Shuiyun go. He could feel Sang Shuiyun's reclusiveness. In this world, it seemed like there was nothing Sang Shuiyun truly cared about, as if he were merely a passerby in the world. Sang Shuiyun's temperament, and you actually became friends with him, Luo Feng remarked. He and I are quite similar, Shang Qianyang said. Quite similar. Luo Feng was surprised. To him, Shang Qianyang and Sang Shuiyun seemed to have completely different temperaments. One loved making friends, and took great care in teaching disciples, managing the sect. Yet the other was extremely reclusive, caring about no one. In Huyang City, I understand him the best, and he understands me the best, Shang Qianyang smiled. Perhaps that's why both of us are enamored with the Dream Flower Tower Master. I don't understand you too, Luo Feng shook his head. More than 2 decades had also made Luo Feng's relationship with Shang Qianyang very good, and they were congenial in temperament. Luo Feng had compassion for the weak, and Shang Qianyang was also naturally compassionate towards the weaker ones, otherwise, why would he painstakingly teach his disciples? They chatted over food and drinks, relaxed and at ease. Suddenly, buzz! A small cosmic domain appeared in the Fire Realm restaurant. Luo Feng and Shang Qianyang turned their heads to look, their gaze piercing through the walls, seeing the restaurant owner, Black Butcher, who had just finished preparing the Fire Realm feast. He had a sudden epiphany while fully committing to the feast and broke through the final barrier. The source of law he mastered naturally formed a domain. I didn't expect this Fire Realm restaurant's owner to have broken through, becoming an eternal true god, Zhong Qianyang marveled. Preparing a Fire Realm feast for us, and he actually broke through to become an eternal true god. This feast must be delicious, Luo Feng was somewhat greedy. This episode ends here.